I'll figure it out.
I believe in you, Dick.
I don't. Shit, I really don't have it.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now broadcasting from a studio that has definitely been named. Do we know the name of it?
Jerking my chicken, pulling my pork studios.
That's Jim. That's Whitney. I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Thank you to our studio naming sponsor. Nobody's taken us up on that in a little while. I think it's also because I don't know how to let people do it multiple times, and everybody that did it would have done it again. But yeah, if you have not named our studio yet, patreon.com/therapy, you can buy the naming rights to an episode at the store, which apparently is just up there. And I will figure out how to add another one. I should do that.
And if you're just joining us again, sorry, this is our rapid fire 3 episodes in one night to get through the month of June. It was this or we go an entire month without episodes, so we apologize, but this is where we're at. And if anybody thinks from the last episode that we were joking when we were talking about, all right, we're going right to the next episode, we were not, because I did not take Jacob seriously, and I did not even have the script ready.
Yeah. Yep. That's what happens when people don't take me seriously.
This is a lesson I've learned in life. Yeah, he's not ever kidding. Everything he said is serious. So.
It's easier that way.
Yeah. You just find that I don't have to differentiate. Yeah. I was always telling the truth.
I don't have to think about it. I don't have to come up with things.
Officer. Anyway, there is a dead hooker in my trunk. Welcome to the summer edition as June rolls through. Yeah, fuck. There's another one. Yeah. Jesus. I'm just so sad that I know it's going to happen.
I'll hang around to hear that drop.
Oh, Christ. Anyway, our summer program, we are doing some abbreviated episodes, but as we've been mentioning in the last 9 years, we've never missed. So able to keep that streak alive. If you are a Patreon, thank you for your grace with us as we haven't been releasing our extended episodes for this month. But remember, patreon.com/therapy, there's a 9-year library of stuff that you instantly have access to up there. We do appreciate your support. We worked our asses off on this show in May, so we're taking a little R&R here in June, and we appreciate that you're still with us. We've got some great questions for today's episode, and we're leading off the order with daily reminders of childhood sexual abuse. Hey friends, a really light topic coming your way. Kidding. Obvious trigger warning for juvenile sexual assault and abuse. I'm a 35-year-old straight male. Growing up, my family was and remains friends with a very powerful and influential family in town. I live in a moderately sized American city, and everyone knows this family. Their name is plastered around town as they are benefactors for a lot of our cultural institutions. This fact will become important later.
Sure.
When I was 14, I was friends with one of the kids in their family. We'll call this person Ed Jones. Obviously not his real name.
Oh, my God. I know Ed Jones.
Oh, the Jones family.
That guy.
Not Ed. Ed was 16.
Hard to keep up with.
Yes. Ed was 16 at the time, and I looked up to him as a role model. Ed had me over to his house a lot, and without going into too much graphic detail, Ed abused the power imbalance and groomed me to have sex with him multiple times, probably 10 plus, over the course of about a year. I believe his parents heard what was going on in his room and even knocked to try to get us out, but eventually did not do anything and just left us alone, much to my terror. To say that the experience was confusing, losing my virginity to a male friend, the family dynamics, etc., and traumatizing would be an understatement. I've been in a lot of therapy over the years, and I think I've healed as much as I can, but god damn it, Ed keeps cropping up in my life in ways that I don't feel prepared for. Just tonight, my wife and I were at an art gallery, and I noticed that it was called the Jones Family Gallery.
Yeah.
Funded in large part by Ed's parents. Just seeing their name on the wall immediately brought me back to being 14 and to being violated by him. Other times my family will bring up the Joneses and how great they are, and I have to stuff the rage and pain as far down as I can to prevent myself from revealing to my family that I was sexually abused. I just don't trust my family with this information. I don't think they'll believe me. And I don't want to negatively affect their relationship with the Joneses. I just never want to see another Jones for as long as I live. I just don't know how to move through the world like this. In a perfect world, I would track Ed down and reduce him to dust, but I just want to proceed with my normal life and move on. What kind of armor can I build to avoid feeling a flashback coming on when I see their name around town? Is it worth telling my family, who I have reason to believe won't believe or support me? Do I just go kick Ed's ass? P.S. Ed has a wife and a successful business now. I would love to ruin his life by making this information public. I doubt his wife has any idea that he was a predator, but ultimately, I don't think it's worth it. Thanks for reading, Anonymous. This is a tough one.
That's rough.
It's very heavy.
Some details to make sure that I get out there, because I just want to make sure I read the letter correctly in case anybody forgot it. Ryder is a male. I know I misspoke earlier. Ryder's describing a time when Ryder was 14 years old and perpetrator Ed Jones was 16 years old.
I think we can just say perpetrator.
Yeah.
There are people named Ed Jones.
Yeah, we could leave the... We should probably... Somebody's listening to this going,
let me be the person to speak for people with other common names out there.
Okay, yeah.
They're common for a reason.
This is the cause Jacob needs to get on.
Yeah.
I'm tired of our names, all the John Does of the world.
Common names, you've heard of them for a fucking reason.
Yeah. Jane Smith.
There's a lot of us.
Yeah. We're tired of being...
I'm related to multiple Jane Smiths. Not a joke.
Oh my God.
All right. A solid point. We will change this to perp.
My uncle was named Bob.
Yeah.
Bob Smith.
Yeah. Definitely common enough. So, yeah, but I think an important piece here, because I know none of us are going to take a position of invalidating Ryder, but at the same time, I think there's a nuance to this, which is that we're talking about a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. This person now looks back and says, look, this happened 10 times. I now look back on it and don't feel it was the consensual kind of thing that a lot of teenagers experience. Yeah. Ryder doesn't say rape, but Ryder's saying groomed.
Abused, the power imbalance.
Imbalance. I was younger. They were older. Yeah. I admired them. They were a famous family. I don't like how this went down.
The adults potentially knew or probably knew.
Yeah. Right. And I get that that's complex too, because adults who are, maybe they're thinking, oh, I think I've just discovered my 16-year-old son's gay and he's having a teenage hookup session with another teenage boy. I can appreciate that the family, and again, I'm not trying to defend the family here, but I want to acknowledge the complexity as we prepare to talk about it.
Even if it didn't end with the parents innocently, even if they ended not knowing more of what was going on, it could have began possibly as some confusion on their end as to what was happening behind closed doors. Obviously, we don't know.
Yeah. So, Whitney, you've worked with juvenile sex offenders.
I know.
And that's always been, I think, an interesting lane for you to be in, even among other clinicians, because I think where the rest of us, we want to talk about sex crime, and we want to take that seriously. We also realize that for the victims, that trauma is real, and that pain is forever, and it is extremely complex.
Yes.
And I wonder if you can teach us how to dance between this. Because, again, I don't know. Like, maybe am I coming out too early to... I don't want to feel like I'm defending the 16-year-old. But if there's another listener out there...
I don't think you're trying to defend, but I think you are trying to explain to everyone what an overwhelmingly complicated issue this must be. For Ryder... I assume probably other people as well, but we're going to talk about the writer.
Yeah. No, this reminds me of something recently I saw on a friend's social media where they were trying to call out this group of boys who had done really horrible, sexual acts with other girls who were all underage. And they said, they don't serve any jail time and these victims have to live the rest of their lives with this trauma. And that is correct. Like, that is a fact.
Right.
But it's hard when you've been on the other side and worked with perpetrators and seen that living in Nevada, I don't honestly know exactly what the laws are in Texas. I do believe they are different. But, coming from Texas, living in Nevada now, I actually appreciated that majority of juvenile sexual offenders had an opportunity to
rehabilitate.
Yeah, rehabilitate. Yeah, I was like, what's that word?
Actually, there's a case going on 3 weeks ago now, as we're listening to this. But there's a juvenile, a person who's been picked up on juvenile charges in Las Vegas over the horse stuff. Did you hear about this?
I have not heard about that.
So recently there was, recently as we're recording this in Nevada, in Las Vegas at the South Point Casino, there was a rodeo event, barrel racing, I believe it was part of it, and a young lady, a child.
17.
Yeah, a teenager, a 17-year-old. I didn't remember if it was 16 or 17, but yeah. Injured some of her competitors' horses while they were in the stables. Had some kind of, like, I don't know if it was a knife or a piece of glass or whatever it was, but yeah, like cut them up, stabbed them, whatever it was. None of the horses died. All of the horses are expected to make full recoveries and be okay as far as that part goes. But there is a large contingent. The Nevada prosecutor has said that they're going to be seeking to try this person as an adult.
Yeah.
And boy, do I have mixed emotions about that.
I know.
Yeah.
Because it is shitty. Like, it's terrible to go stab an animal and, cause injury and everything. And you hear about, serial killers and world despots and everything being cruel to animals when they were young, and it being a sign of things to come and everything. But I did see one person, I'm sure other people said this as well, but I noted one person mentioning publicly, said, we have a juvenile justice system for this reason. We should let it do its thing. And yeah, it is with juvenile sex. That's
So
because, like, is the answer throw a 16-year-old in jail for 30 years?
Well, it's a very adult thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the sex crime part.
So usually what we're looking at, just some behind the scenes, when we are assessing, I would say likelihood of reoffense, which is very challenging to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we just do that lightly, like, oh, you're good, you're never going to reoffend.
Sure.
But when trying to assess reoffense or likelihood of reoffense, we are looking at what kind of sexual offense, what was the extent, how long did it go, and what was actually happening? Were there power dynamics? Like, these are all things we're looking at. So first off, Ryder, I want to say that this is a very serious situation. This would not be... because I've seen the whole gamut.
This wouldn't be one that you would, for lack of a better way of saying it, you wouldn't write this one off.
Right. For example, I had one client who was got in trouble for exposing himself to an officer when he was going pee outside, and like he's in treatment. That is different than what you're describing.
Yes.
There's
that's just a golfer.
Exactly.
This has been discussed. Yes.
When you were talking about the golf
we
course,
call that
earlier,
par for the course.
Exposed himself to the ducks.
Show you my 19th hole.
By the clubhouse.
If there was a Patreon, that would have been the episode title, is the 19th hole. Yeah. Jacob's 19th hole.
But there are dynamics at play here. And you know what my experience was, and I did not work directly with victims, so I think that is a whole different category. But my experience in working with perpetrators and then collaborating with therapists who work with their victims is that what can happen is there can be processing and a form of closure that develops. A lot of times that can be through reunification, which is where through therapists you reconnect. It is a very specific way to do this, a very delicate way to do this. And then the victim is completely in charge. The perpetrator has no say in, like, I want to see them or I don't. It doesn't matter. It's whatever the person who was victimized, what they choose. And so that gives them back that sense of control. That gives them back, a sense of like, okay, I can be empowered in my healing journey. Now, it gets challenging when you're telling me, I'm 35. I'm not gonna lie, avoidant Whitney was like, why do we still live in the same town? I hate to be that person, be like, just leave. Like, I know it's not your place to have to leave, but I was wondering.
I hear that all the time, like the geographical cure,
I know.
Moving away. But I had that thought too, like I don't think I could stay in that town.
I know. If they are all
having the family name on signs around town is tough. That's a tough extra. Not even that person's name, but their family's name. Like, they didn't even do anything to get the name to be a big deal. Yeah, that's rough.
Also, Jones is a common name.
Yeah, it really is.
I think, you know what? This was the alias. I bet the real name was Smith.
Yeah, definitely was Smith.
The Smith
no
Center.
question.
Apologies to the Joneses.
Yeah. So those are just things that I'm just kind of going through things that stood out to me from your letter, and it does make it more complex, Jim. You're right.
What about I've been in a lot of therapy over the years, and I think I've healed as much as I can.
Well, and so that's where my mind went to moving initially, because I'm like, well, if you have for yourself felt I am mostly healed, like I know things will come up again over time. That's probably very natural. But I'm like, if you feel like you are pretty good, you're like, I've done the work, all of that. You know what's really bothering me? When I get to watch them just like live their lives. Yeah. When I show up at an art event and their name is plastered everywhere. That fucking sucks. Like,
because I think there's two different, like, you can be, I guess, you can have gone through therapy and be at peace with something. And that is different than being at peace with something, but being constantly reminded of it.
Yes.
And reminded, like, hey, by the way, this person has money.
Yeah.
They're doing great.
They're probably
their life
doing
looks
all right.
amazing.
Yeah, like at least their family's doing okay. I bet they're doing okay too. Like that's a big jump. Like and they're doing well. Awesome.
Here's what you actually should do. This is my real advice, writer. You don't tell the wife that what happened to you because they won't believe you. I'm just going to be the meanie there. Like, she'll just be like, oh, nope, don't believe you. He'll deny it at the end.
Oh, done. Yeah. No, nobody in his
Here's
life
what
is
you
gonna,
do. You go dig around because you know he's got more dirt. Go dig around. Go find what he's doing now and present the wife with that info. And then you get your validation.
Evil Whitney.
I wouldn't do it that way, but I would do it a way that would actually work.
Wait,
I would hire a private investigator
that too
to do what Whitney just said. I wouldn't do it myself.
I love
because you're not going to be able to do it.
Are you going to stop them? I mean,
I don't know what to do.
I feel like as the principal host, we should do something.
What? Why don't we?
Our employees are fucking losing their minds over here.
I would, but I don't want to piss them off.
I know. Now they know what they're capable of.
Yeah. This is how the South handles things. Okay?
I mean, you just get some fucking. I mean, you don't have to do anything with that knowledge.
But
but if you have that knowledge,
there's for sure shit in his life right this second. Knowing what you have shared, 1,000%, there's so much shit behind the scenes.
And they're also, for all we know, there may be other victims. There may be there may be all kinds of things here. But all of that is truly just if you kind of want to. Like, if you feel like
what do you get out of it?
If you feel like you need to do that for some reason, or if someone needs to be protected or something like that, then that's one thing. Yeah. Short of that, like, what are you going to get out of it?
And that is always, at the end of the day, my biggest
thing.
It. Like,
what are you going to get out of it?
You don't have to air out all your stuff, but I do always get very worried when people don't know about a person's past like that, and who are the victims in the future.
Yeah,
I guess. It's been 20 years. I don't know that, and this person's married, they're a public figure almost. I don't know that there's going to be, I can now save other people from what we did when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit too vigilante for my taste, but I agree with the.
I'm not saying there are other people that need to be saved. I'm saying, like, if that were something that you were trying to pursue right now, if there were a scenario where that's happening,
I just want to say there is a high likelihood there are other victims.
Sure,
like, I'm just going to throw that out there for information purposes, and you can be like on the positive end of that, like, oh, it's been so many years, but statistically speaking, whether it was before you, writer, like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone before you or after. But
what do you think the chances are that this person, the perpetrator, was once a victim?
That too, 100%.
So what is the deal with that? Like, and I've never.
What's the deal?
What's the deal with airline food?
That or their
sexual abuse perpetrating. So I've always been confused about that, because we have all these therapy sayings, right? Like, hurting people hurt people, and I've never heard anybody tell me that there is a pattern with, like, sexual perpetrators or violent offenders having been a victim before.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a violent offender, but a sexual offense, there is usually a high likelihood, like really high likelihood, they have experienced something, and that can be observing something, that can be something done to them. There's what we see is that it's a pretty high likelihood that they've been through something themselves. Or I wouldn't be surprised if this is a really high profile family, they might have sexual leanings that they can't express
Sure.
You know, I don't want to put any stigma on that. You know, I'm not trying to say if he were, you know, like bisexual or gay, like that's why he's perpetrating. It's just like if you are repressed and have no other outlet. That's what I saw with the clients I worked with. A lot of times there wasn't a sexual outlet or a way to healthily manage their own sexual feelings, so they acted out inappropriately.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I support treatment, because a lot of times they don't realize how much hurt they're causing in the moment.
There seems to be like a big ignorance factor, and we have to be careful, right? Because we're
I'm
talking about
very
a very broad thing, right?
Yeah.
Just like when we talk about like
and we have very
robbery.
little information in this.
Yeah,
This
there's
is
some
just
people,
my experience I'm sharing.
Yeah,
with
there's
you.
some people that steal because they're hungry, and there's some people that steal
Correct.
because that's their profession, right? And like we can differentiate between all these different types of people without painting in one broad brush. So I don't want any angry letters yet.
Yeah.
But like
Or
I
send
appreciate that we're being good therapists about it by like explaining the nuances. And you've treated the offender, you know, and like you worked alongside those who were treating the victim, but you could and did treat the offender. And so you did learn to humanize them, to understand their story, so you could fix this. Like you wanted them to not do it again. And your therapy was focused on that. You wanted to eliminate that perpetual behavior. In order to do that, you had to understand them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is where, as a society, we don't have the ability sometimes to hold these nuanced and complex conversations about sex. Like even in this case, it's very easy for us just to go, 16, what a monster. I have 16-year-old child. Like I've taught school. These are, I still see them as very much children.
Yeah.
And to level an adult charge at a 16-year-old and say they groomed me, I was 2 years younger than them. That's heavy language that if I were their therapist, if I was the writer's therapist, I would be working on talking through the nuances of that too. Like, how are you perspectiving this?
Especially when we, in most cases, anything a 16-year-old says or does, we write it off as them being an idiotic 16-year-old.
In this case.
And in most cases, we are correct. Right. Also, by the way.
Yeah.
So I agree with you to a degree there. That
and
there
like
is
even power dynamics. They're 2 years older than you, and they're a wealthier family.
Yeah.
I get that that's very big in the teenage world,
oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah,
and so you're
intimidating.
right. Your truth was, this is my idol. Yeah. This is a 16-year-old. They are God. But I don't want you to accidentally continue to give them godhood, where you're like, now they're 40.
They're untouchable.
Yeah, I'm 38.
They are continuing
to hurt me. They're
They're
still God, and they've always had this omniscience to understand the consequences of what they were doing and why they were doing it. They were also a stupid teenager. What they did was wrong. And like with a lot of JSOs, I think it's easy for us to adultify them and be like, oh, they're a monster, throw the book at them, treat them as an adult.
Better.
Right. And like what Jacob said about the horse story, treat this person like an adult, give them adult consequences, assume adult abilities and interests and motivations. But then a therapist who works with them realizes, no, they don't have those capacities.
The big assumption that makes that I get really prickly about is the assumption that the adult consequences are going to act on the child the same way they're made to act on an adult.
Yeah.
If your brain is not fully developed, 16, 17-year-olds, your brain's not fully, what's it like, 23 or so, 24 or something like that?
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, some of us never get
For
there.
dudes, it takes a while.
Yeah.
I saw this whole thing among women. It was like 30-something-year-old women. When you were dating 25-year-old men, do you think they were finished developing?
They were still cooking.
Yeah. Don't even bother.
Yeah. I don't. It's Ryder. It's just so shitty.
It is so shitty.
And boy, and clearly we don't have a good answer for it.
Because your abuse and consequences are real. Your trauma is adult level trauma that stays with you forever.
Your whole life.
Even if the perpetrator in full like intellectual retrospect was also a child and probably shouldn't be adultified either. It doesn't matter because you get to live with this for the rest of your life. Yeah. And as Nick pointed out, you get to be punched in the face every single time you see this family's name somewhere. And I don't see the obvious solution here.
Well, I will say this. I mean, because the writer's kind of like, yo, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I handle this? First off, don't become violent because you did make the joke. Do I go kick Ad's ass? No, you do not.
No, you won't feel better.
Do that. You're not going to feel better.
I get the desire.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And that's the thing. Like, I want to absolutely validate the feeling and the urge that
Maybe
you
the
have.
fantasies.
Yeah. To just absolutely go and destroy this person's life.
Yeah.
But like even the writer acknowledges,
I
like,
can't come now unless I picture Ed bleeding from the face.
I've just attached it to that.
Yeah,
So here we are.
That's my most joyful image. That's
I'm not
what
here
I
to
go
yuck your yum, but I do want to talk a little bit more about
the writer even acknowledges, like, I know nothing good's going to come of this.
Yeah.
I know no one's going to believe me. And if they don't believe you, if you just come out and say it, they're certainly not going to believe you in court after you're fighting an assault charge.
Right. And I think you're also right. There's a myth of the validation of a public shame campaign that a lot of victims like allow themselves to believe. And it's a cathartic thing. It's part of how we try to get power back. But the truth is, very rarely do you get on the internet, have a flame war with somebody, and come out the champion, and the whole world lights candles and says, we disavow Michael Jackson forever.
Right.
Like, that doesn't happen.
Also, actually, let's use Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is a fine example for this because none of us were in those rooms with Michael Jackson. None of us know all of the details of what happened in there. Mm-hmm. We assume some things that were untoward happened in there. I think that's a fair assumption. The idea that you're going to get back at them and do like the whole public flame war, let's take that to the next step. Mm-hmm. Let's think about what might happen if you do that. Yeah. The most likely is that they're just going to deny it and that there's going to be some kind of fight in the press or whatever it is, and you're going to do that. But let's say that it just works. Let's say that you ruin their life with this public campaign. You tell their family believes you. They take all the actions that you'd like them to take. And this guy is ostracized. He is removed from society, maybe jailed, maybe just goes out and moves somewhere else, maybe commits suicide.
Yeah.
None of these things are going to make you feel better.
Yeah. Wow.
None of these things are going to help you in your life at all. If this person goes out and kills themselves because they experience such shame that you magnify onto them that is deserved, it's still not going to make you feel better.
You're
still going to be right, and you're still going to feel like shit.
I think that's called the myth of redemptive violence. Yeah.
I do want to also, though, I'll play the devil's advocate here. Yeah. And just because I want to send the message to everyone else who is a survivor of sexual assault that this also doesn't mean that you should stay quiet about it.
No.
So I just want to make sure.
Thank you for making that clear. No, I'm just talking about the violent part of it. I'm talking about the going out and trying to get revenge part of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not even saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying it won't make you feel better.
Okay. Yeah, and I think Jacob
said that's genuinely all I'm saying about it. If you feel like you have to go do it, all right, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, I think that's what Jacob said earlier. He's like, what do you want out of this? If you're like, yes, this is going to help my life feel more meaningful and give me some closure to actually make a statement on this, please do that. I would definitely talk through that with a therapist.
I want you to really
for every step
about
along the way.
Yeah.
But you have every right to be able to do that.
I think if I'm in this situation, I'm going to try to look at this from the perspective of like if I'm walking on a path and I've got all of these different, like it's like a decision tree where I can make all of these different choices on what I can do, and I'm trying to predict long term what's going to be best for me.
Right.
Like forget everybody else. Forget my family, his family, him, all of the whole community.
Certainly you forget about this asshole.
Yeah, forget about all of that. Just what's going to be most beneficial for me and assure me the most fulfillment in my own life.
Joy.
And that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
And you just kind of make those decisions based off whatever that is. And I think working with a therapist to figure that out, I think it's going to be very helpful. But it sounds like you've already done that work. You know, I don't know.
You didn't say anything about support groups. I like sexual assault survivor support groups.
That's a really
they have them down at the Edward Jones Center.
Yeah.
That's right.
Center.
Yeah. The family's been very philanthropic.
Well, if that's
toward
the
case,
Ryder, if that's the case, if the only sexual assault survivor meeting is
that's
happening
a sign to tell everyone
in the Ed Jones building, forget everything else we said. Tell everybody.
Tell everybody.
Stand in front of the door.
Yeah.
With your sign. Yeah.
Nail a sign to the church door. Do all the things at that point. At that point, move. I got nothing else for you.
Wow. A heavy topic. But Ryder, thank you so much for this feedback. Was there any
so
last
vulnerable.
thoughts there?
No.
Okay, good. But Ryder, just this is a very heavy one. I appreciate the vulnerability, the honesty. You know how our show goes. I hope this is not your first episode that you've ever heard. And so, like, that we try to work
weird
the
show
issue.
to write into, having never
heard it in. Yeah,
I don't know how you'd even find this to write in without hearing it.
Yeah, I visited this website randomly. Thought I would just drop a line.
It said, "Here's the way to solve my
Find
problems."
the podcast algorithm.
That'd be so weird.
I submit this question to every podcast. It just so happens that this is a mental health podcast.
We got the same letter on Ice Cream Social. That's right. We did not handle it as well.
Yeah.
I heard this on Car Talk.
That's right. It's a car talk. Anyway, it's the radiator. No, but Ryder, I mean, hopefully you understand that, like, we try to work on the problem from every angle, really try to find all the blind spots, to just embrace it, to understand it, to talk about it the way clinical therapists would talk about it. And that's, something that we hope by doing. There's public education. But I hope that nothing I've said gave any kind of energy of, like, dismissiveness or anything like that as we try to embrace the nuance. But thank you for your bravery in writing in, telling your story. I do hope that there's some amount of healing available to you. I think you're doing all the right things in all the right places.
Absolutely.
Some bells cannot be unrung, and sexual trauma is one of those that is very, very hard to move on from. But I'm glad that you are still living a successful life, and I think that that's got to be the fundamental measurement. How are you doing?
Yeah.
There's distress, but you've won. You're living your life, a good life. And I'm grateful for that for you. And I hope
it's impressive you made it this far.
And I mean,
best
the goal,
revenge is happiness.
And the goal, that's the thing, is the goal wants to be just your happiness.
That's right.
The goal in your life, for me, I don't think it should have anything to do with this other motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want your life to be about this person.
Every time you go to those art events, just say, "Fuck you, Ed Jones," and flip it off.
Again, apologies to Ed Jones.
And all the other people with common names. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're answering a question. Do I have ADHD or a Reddit account? You're listening to
Stop
Pod
writing
Therapy.
into the show.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Malia, Richard Macy, Sunny Boy, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Slurpikaye Motherfucker, Sander McWaffle, Elena, Gabriella Dame, Adam Warren, B-Gay, New Crimes, and Natalie Portman, a.k.a. Not Keira Knightley. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Okay. Mental Health Awareness Month. Psychology's Wildest Moments.
All right.
Ooh.
All right. Whitney.
Great.
The American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality from the DSM as a mental disorder in 1973.
I was going to say in the 70s. Dang it. That's part of it.
What primarily triggered that vote? A landmark 1957 study by psychologist Evelyn Hooker that finally achieved institutional traction. B, legal pressure from the ACLU following sodomy laws reformed in several states. C, a congressional investigation into APA diagnostic practices following several high-profile lawsuits. Or D, years of direct activist disruption at APA conferences by gay advocates, including Frank Camry and Barbara Giddings, culminating in Carney Kameny taking the microphone in the 1971 panel.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last option. Could you just repeat that last option for me?
I feel like this is the test where the longest one's the right answer.
Yeah, right.
I mean, D?
Yeah.
Hey!
Sounds very legit.
Whichever one Nick struggles with.
Yeah.
Boy, that just sounds real.
Trying to
Sounds
read
like
it
that
through
really
the highlight.
happened.
Yeah.
Frank Kameny and Barbara Giddings.
Giddings sounded familiar. Yeah.
Jim, 1973, Rosenhan experiment. The Rosenhan experiment sent 8 mentally healthy people to psychiatric hospitals claiming to hear a single thud sound. What happened?
Options.
I know this one.
All 8 were diagnosed with schizophrenia or borderline disorder, hospitalized an average of 19 days and never detected as sane by staff, though several were suspected by actual patients. B, all 8 were identified as healthy within 72 hours, which Rosenhan argued proved diagnostic reliability. C, 3 were released within a week, but 5 remained hospitalized for over a month, despite having been completely normal. Or D, the hospitals detected the deception and contacted Rosenthal directly.
Definitely not
directly.
D.
You know it's not that one.
Not
Yeah.
D.
So I actually didn't listen well to the question.
Okay.
No. I don't need you to reread it. What I was going to say is, I thought you were saying these people really had this problem. They were all sent to other places. But now I understand the question was actually referring to that very famous experiment where a psychologist had people fake having a disorder, tried to get them into hospitals to see what would happen. And I believe the answer is the one where they don't get released, even though they're healthy. And I believe the story goes deeper. They identified themselves as researchers and tried to get the hospitals to check the facts and like verify. And several hospitals refused to, and they were trapped until like Rosenthal went out and found them and like had to get them out.
Correct. It was A. One was held for 52 days. When this experimenter told a hospital he would send more fake patients, the hospital identified 41 suspects over the following months.
Amazing.
I just heard about this.
I know, it's crazy. And there are similar cases to that where journalists also did similar types of things.
Oh, wow,
there's a very famous, I can't think of her name right now, but a female journalist did it and like exposes all the sexism and everything else that goes along with it. Just all of the extra bonus footage there.
Yeah.
I think a bonus fact is I believe that this study led to what's called the IMD exclusion. So one of the things that sometimes frustrates people with mental health issues in Medicaid is that Medicaid inpatient providers cannot keep a patient long term. And a lot of times if they're homeless and they're chronically psychiatrically ill, we're like, what are you doing? Why do you keep releasing them? And this was one of the reasons why ultimately there was a federal policy that said you can't keep these people indefinitely, because there's studies that show that you guys are willing to just throw them in a bed and lock the door and bill the insurance forever. And so like you need to rotate them out so that something can happen. And I think that contributed to that law.
And of course, when a lot of them were still called asylums and things like that, it was even more egregious.
Yeah.
Okay. Jacob, the Stanford prison experiment.
Sure, true.
1971 is cited in virtually every introductory psychology course.
I believe
as evidence as evidence that ordinary people become abusive when given authority. What did investigative research published in 2019 reveal?
That the Stanford prison experiment was completely useless. It was poorly set up, and none of the findings from it should be taken with any veracity at all.
I'm going to give you points on that.
Thank you.
Audio recordings showed Zimbardo's assistant explicitly coaching guards to be tough and not let up, fundamentally undermining the conclusions of the experiment.
And it was more than that. It was a lot of different things in there.
Yeah, and a lot of the
I don't think I've had to get options on any of Nick's
you're
questions
crushing
tonight.
it. Yeah, and when that 2019 study came out, they also revealed that the prison guard students agreed to do this, to like be excessive because they were trying to get the whole thing done. Like they were getting paid for it, and it was like, okay, let's just be crazy because that's going to be interesting. Yeah, and then we'll get invited back. Like all this other stuff. It was like a huge scam. Yeah, and Stanford has not recovered from this blow to their reputation.
That's right.
Nobody even goes there anymore.
No.
I believe they closed their doors.
School.
All right, I'm winning.
Not like Liberty.
Liberty, University. Do I have... Sorry.
We're accredited.
That's our school.
We're not.
School anthem.
By God.
That's what we sing at all the football games.
Accredited by God.
That's the highest form of accreditation. I think you're joking, but I can't tell. I don't think if you understand this... Oh, my God. The 10 Commandments were also accredited by God, okay? It's very important.
I have 15. 10 commandments.
Do I have ADHD or a Reddit account? Hello, Nick, Whitney, Dr. Jacob, and the artist formerly known as Dr. Jim.
Artist.
Dick. Apologies off the bat for the long letter, but I felt the full context was important and couldn't figure out what to cut. I'm a long-standing listener and supporter, but I'm writing anonymously due to some of the details I feel are important to include in this letter. I'm a mid-30s male who's been in therapy for over 5 years. In that time, we've spent most of the time focusing on anxiety, self-worth, and body image. I have a very strong connection with my therapist, but have often been frustrated by what feels like a lack of progress. Recently, I was reading a post on Reddit unrelated to mental health. A comment caught my eye. when it talked about a behavior I often have, overeating, being a less discussed symptom of ADHD. I started researching other less common symptoms of ADHD and was struck by how many I had no clue were ADHD related, and by how many I related to. I started reading the ADHD subreddit, dangerous I know, and also listened to your deep dive in one day, no less.
Wow.
I'm very aware of the overdiagnosis of ADHD and the mainstream co-opting of ADHD to explain normal experiences. However, my therapist would also tell you I have a history of minimizing my own struggles and mental health challenges. So without asking you to perform a diagnosis, I thought I might describe some of my experiences that seem to line up with what I'm reading can be related to ADHD and see if you think it would be worth pursuing this line of inquiry any further. Here's a rough outline of my presenting picture. I'm a lawyer who by all accounts is successful. I'm usually pretty organized and produce good work products. I've been married for over 10 years and haven't had any issues with being attentive in my relationship. I've also never had a classic ADHD hyperactivity or not being able to sit still. But that's how things look on the outside. My inner world is different. I'm almost always waiting until the last minute to start working on assignments until the pressure of the deadline is bigger than the inertia and anxiety of actually doing the work. I'm very good at spending time focusing on something I am really interested in. 6-hour ADHD deep dive, anyone? But for anyone or anything else, I need to be pressing up against the deadline or negative consequences to get going. When I try to work on something without the pressure, I can't keep myself focused and pursue distractions like overeating, scrolling, shopping, etc., no matter how hard I try not to. I react very strongly to sensory stimuli, needing to rip tags out of clothes, hating strong smells, not being able to concentrate if I can see any clutter, social anxiety and rumination over conversations to the point of paralysis, body focus concerns, mainly through body dysmorphia, skin scab picking, and sometimes pulling out hair. Virtually nonstop fidgeting, inability to fully relax, have to be doing even on vacation, and nonstop brain noise, especially at night. I could go on, but I think that paints at least a small picture. I know that for the most part, these are regular parts of the human experience, but I can't help but wonder if part of the reason why progress in therapy has been so incremental is because there's more to the story that hasn't ever been addressed. You may be wondering why I haven't mentioned talking about this with my therapist. Honestly, I think it's because I'm afraid he'll say I don't have ADHD. The more I read about the symptoms, especially of high-functioning ADHD, the more emotional I got. I've been enduring these behaviors for decades at this point. And while I've improved and adapted in a lot of ways, things are still fucking hard. So the possibility that I may have stumbled on to greater clarity as to why is very appealing. I'm not interested in any kind of work accommodation, and medication scares me. But I'm interested in knowing myself better and having the deepest possible understanding of the challenges I face. So, with all of that said, here's my question. Does what I've described sound worth investigating further with ADHD in mind? And how do I hold the line between genuine self-recognition and the tendency to over-exaggerate symptoms and identify with whatever framework we're currently reading about? P.S. Since I did listen to the whole deep dive, I guess I accepted all the terms and conditions. Jim, I like you. Contractually. Most sincerely, Jim's anonymous, contractually obligated friend, Jackoff. Yeah, in the ADHD deep dive, that is part of it, is that if you continue to listen, you're contractually obligated to like me and be my friend.
Oh, wow.
It's to make sure that nobody can get through the
It's
ropes.
weird that none of the three of us knew that.
Is
Whitney,
it?
you said you listened to
I
it.
started it. It's long.
Bitch!
I'm still on episode 1. I got distracted. That's why I was
This
like,
episode is
whole
4.5
time.
hours.
I know.
It's fair. It's definitely one to be listened to.
That's if
in
you're listening to it
installments.
on double speed.
I know. I was like, I did speed it up.
It's a solid move.
Oh my gosh. The ADHD subreddits. I love ADHD meme on Reddit. That is one of my favorites to go down because it's legit, but just funny. Or it looks legit. You know, it's not just ADHD. These are the symptoms that kind of jokes about it in meme form. So I feel like it's very relatable if you need a new ADHD Reddit page to follow, writer.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's gonna help. I swear. I know Jim's the expert over here with his 6-hour deep dive, but my thing I heard you say was I don't want any like work accommodations. Medication scares you. That's a whole thing we could shift to. But mostly my question to people who come to me with this type of issue, like, hey, I don't want to be overdiagnosed, but these are the symptoms I'm having. I kind of ask them, like, what if you just did all the things that people do for ADHD with or without the diagnosis? Like, I know the diagnosis can feel validating, so there's value to that. I'm not trying to discount that. But if you're saying, hey, I want to feel like I have maybe more control over these things or find ways to like improve my life, I mean, maybe just start looking at what do people with ADHD do? Like, how do they cope? What are some skills they learn? And there's tons of information out there on that. But that's kind of where my mind goes at the very least, if you're worried about talking to your therapist about it. Also, I'm trying to think if I've ever told a client that was wondering if they had ADHD, you don't have it. Like, right. I don't think I've ever done that because I'm not assessing you for ADHD.
Right.
And if anything, usually I'll meet with them a few times, be thinking that, and I wait for an opportunity to kind of gently be like, have you thought about
right.
this? Like, maybe getting assessed if you think it's helpful or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. That's
I was trying to find something that I found this, I don't know if it was a training I went to or something, but I remember taking notes. And so I was just flipping through my phone trying to find it. But the instructor was talking about ADHD and just like this deadline thing that needs to happen. There has to be a deadline for things to get done.
Yeah.
And kind of this, it's almost like you have to create this panic in order to be able to focus. And the instructor had a really good way of framing it. And I was trying to find it and I couldn't. I could have just not said anything in this time.
Uh-huh.
And where we would be now would be exactly where we would have been had I said nothing.
Oh, okay.
But everyone was looking at me, so I felt like I needed to contribute.
Okay. I do relate.
Thank you, Jacob.
Nick Tangent, everyone.
Well done.
Nice. So I think there's a couple pieces to this. So first, I guess I just want to validate the part of this that is universally relatable, which is that humans go through our experiences, and I think we need and benefit from languaging who we are and like with an explanatory power, right? And humans throughout time have looked for this in all kinds of different ways. Am I the way I am because of our ancestry? What are our people like? What's our family tree like? Am I the way I am because mom was this way, or because of how I was raised or where I was raised? Culturally, my people do this in this part of the country or from this nation. There's all these explanatory forces. And this is something that I talk about in the ADHD deep dive, is that one of the appealing aspects of autism and neurodivergence, ADHD, is that it presents this explanatory narrative that can capture a lot of different aspects of the human condition. And that's a very relatable thing. I don't want to minimize that. I don't want to be dismissive of that. I don't want to say you're using it wrong. I want to appreciate that words have power, and one of those powers is to give one a sense of explanation and belonging so powerfully that my very close friend Jackoff here is saying, and maybe I'm pronouncing it right. Maybe it's Jacoff.
I think it's right.
Jacoff.
Yeah,
Jackoff.
exactly.
Ed Jones.
There it is.
Jackoff Smith.
Yeah, that's right. Jackoff Smith. No relation. But no, I think like it's very relatable that this person would be like, look, I'm scared to go to my therapist because they're going to take this away from me.
Oh, yeah.
And having this idea is comforting to me. It also gives you a sense of community, a sense of belonging. And this is one of the most powerful aspects of ADHD. In the deep dive, because of the nature of being a clinician, I try to validate that is a normal human thing to want, and that this language often offers that, and I get that. But to be a straight academician or clinician about it, you should understand the history of how we invented mental health diagnoses. In the DSM-1, we don't even have most of the words we use today. DSM-2 and 3 is where we started developing them. And unlike medical diagnoses that explain the cause with a medical diagnosis that tells you the pain is the result of this cause, in mental health, we cluster symptoms and give that a name. We just bouquet groups of flowers. And then we call that particular bouquet this. So a cluster of specific symptoms gives us an eating disorder. Another cluster of specific symptoms gives us PTSD. PTSD is a description of the outcome, not a description of the cause. Now, in PTSD, we can tell you the trauma is the cause, right? But anxiety, there could be all numbers of causes, right? And we have different shapes of anxiety, which is why we call them by different diagnostic names. ADHD and autism occupy a special place in the way we talk about diagnostics because people often use them as a way to language the cause. Everything I do is the result of ADHD, a type of brain. Everything I do is the result of autism, because these are classified as neurodevelopmental disorders. So they seem like a first cause. But fundamentally, the way that we created these diagnoses, that's not how they were designed. They are still clusters of symptoms that we gave a name to. And there could be a whole lot of different causes for any amount of those symptoms. And that makes it very complicated. But it doesn't disqualify what you experience, writer. A lot of the things you're describing in that that inside list of things you experience, therapists would validate all of those. We may not say, let's call that ADHD, but we might say, let's call that subclinical social anxiety. Let's call that motivational impairment, right? Let's call that anhedonia. We have other words to describe things in your life that feel psychological, that do matter psychologically. Like, we have these other words. We've talked about it in the show where we now have other phrases we use, like highly sensitive person, or emotional dysfunction, emotional dysregulation, right? And motivational impairment and things like that, and motivational or demotivational, I guess I don't have a word for that. These things are real, and they can exist completely distinct from finding one of the words in the DSM to capture them.
Are you just trying to say unmotivated?
There it is. Yeah, that's the word.
Great.
Yeah, being unmotivated and or the inability to be self motivated and independent in that way, to require external motivation. Mm-hmm. We have other words in clinical language to talk about that. We call it an external locus of control. We have these other ways to talk about these things. And I see this in relationships too. Like, I'm really grateful that relationship psychology is starting to come up with other words like attachment styles and avoidance styles, because it's helping people find ways to language their experience, to find their grouping, and then to, as Whitney said, ask that group, how do you solve this? What do you do to mitigate these issues? Do you relate to me? What can I learn from you? There's so much value in all of that. And to that point, if you want to identify as ADHD, I don't have a problem with it. Whitney said, something I really agree with. I don't think I've ever had a patient come in and say, will you assess or decide this? I kind of don't care. Yeah. Like, if you come in and say, can you figure out if I'm a Protestant or a Catholic? What are you? You tell me what you want to be, and I'll agree with you that that's it, and then let's work from that word. Exactly. Like, what is that word doing for you? What are you trying to describe with that? Yeah. But if you said, Jim, I want you to write me legal language that somehow gets me an accommodation at work because of this, now you're asking for something much more, right? Now you're asking me to leverage my clinical abilities and license to properly declare this over you so you can go out and use it legally in the world. And that's a different request.
And Jim took an oath to use his powers for good.
I was going to say, Nick will write you whatever language,
Nick will write whatever you want.
Will the check
catch? That's right. He'll write you an emotional support animal who has ADHD. He'll diagnose the dog, too.
I'll write you anything you fucking want.
Yeah, Jacob notoriously will write anything.
You want scripts? I got you.
But yeah, the writer says, I don't even want medications here. And so for me, writer...
Scared to feel invalidated.
Yeah, probably that. And also saying, look, I don't want the medicines. I'm scared of them. Like, I'm not looking to use this diagnosis in any functional way. I'm a lawyer. But I'm just saying I relate to it. I relate to the people who talk about having it. There's so much we have in common. Is it okay that I relate to that? I think yes. I think it's fine. I do think you have to be careful, though, because there are people that have the clinical definition of it as would be assessed, and sometimes they do get a little offended. They feel like people cosplay as having a mental disorder that they struggle with. That isn't merely something that others relate to. This is a real fucking disease. If somebody says, look, I have anemia, another person's like, I'm often tired too. Right. Samesies, girl.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I've been in bed all day.
I've been in bed all day. I just couldn't get up. I'll bet you I'm anemic too. And it's like, be careful, right? We're talking about a disease that I live with for the rest of my life. Yeah. That I'm validated by in some ways. It does have explanatory power. And if I could wish it away immediately, I would. And I don't want to be the same. So writer, and we talk about that in the series, which I appreciate you vouching for and listening to. I want to just announce it is a very complex thing that on one hand, I have no problem with you identifying with a word that's a cluster of symptoms because we invented these fucking words to describe groups of symptoms. So you're not doing anything different than the clinical community did over the last 6 DSMs. I'm fine with that. And at the same time, I like that you're showing a proper amount of respect for the legal clinical definition of the disease, and your decision to stop short of obtaining that, but choosing to identify with it for the purposes of finding solutions and having a community to associate with and the explanatory power it has in your own life, I have no problem with any of that. But it is a delicate balance, and I'm glad for this question because I think it gives us a chance to kind of reflect on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you need a letter, write into the show. PodTherapyGuys@gmail.com.
The letters are already written. I just need a name.
Yeah.
I'll just type
and
it
a
in.
check.
You just write your name on the back of $100 bill.
There it is. Car talk.
Put it right on in.
Send it to P.O. Box. Blobbity blobbity. Writer, thank you for this question. Really nuanced. Really, really good.
Which is real quick though. What do you think? I mean, going on Reddit, like I get like how nice it is to know that there's a community out there. I also worry sometimes that like you find what you seek.
Yeah.
And if you're in Reddit, like what other crazy symptoms are there of ADHD? It's like, oh yeah, they're going to be around.
Oh,
you will find them.
Somebody will say a thing. Oh, SJ's brought dessert.
Have been delivered.
No, get those away.
We haven't had dinner yet.
No, we're vulnerable. She knew. She came in with her cookies. Anyway, but no, that's a great point. There's a positive, or what is it? A affirmation bias that you're going to find whatever
confirmation bias.
There it is. You're going to find what you're looking for, right? And again, it's tricky, writer, because like to me, I always ask myself when a patient says, "I think I have ADHD," they list the symptoms. They're looking for me to like work with them on that. I ask myself, are they looking for my true clinical validating opinion, or are they looking to work on this and we're using this word as a placeholder because it's a basket that we can hold enough things in that they relate to.
Yeah.
And if it's the latter, we use that in therapy.
Know. I will say there's one time I had a teen that came in and the mom was like, I think, she has ADHD, da, da, da. And so I was meeting with the girl and I just wasn't quite getting ADHD vibes, but sometimes there is like the inattentive type, it can be hard to see. So tried to work with her more and I'm like, I just see a lot of anxiety and some of these symptoms can overlap quite a bit where it's like inability to focus or freezing up or like delaying things. Like all those things where we put things off, like those can also be things like anxiety depending on the person's age and what you're seeing. And so it was hard. That was a tough one. I wasn't like, oh, she doesn't have it. I was like, I mean, this is what I see right now. We'll keep looking. Right. But yeah, it can be complicated.
And those are complicated cases because sometimes when a parent's coming in, then you don't feel as loosey-goosey about it. Be like, whatever word works for you, man.
Yeah, they're in school.
There's school. There's consequences to this. You might put this child on amphetamines and like, that's when I'm going to refer you out for assessment. If you're asking me those hard questions, I'm going to say, go talk to one of my psychologist colleagues who love doing assessments for a living. They will throw the book at this. If any of you listening are wondering, what is the ADHD assessment? How does that look? I outline it in one of the ADHD episodes, which is assessment and treatment. And it just talks about here's exactly, you can skip right to it. There's an episode that just talks about here's exactly how we assess for this. Here's what it looks like. If you're curious about it, you can listen to that. And if that's something you want to go out and get assessed for, go for it. I'll tell you, you don't need it to get the medicine. And so if you're just looking for the medicine, go to your doctor.
Your general
they'll probably do it. Or a psychiatrist. It's a pretty quick write-up to go, here you go, try this and see if it makes it better. So if that's something you benefit from, go for it. I have no beef with the medicines unless somebody is contraindicated because they have an addiction problem. Then I think I'd rather you live with ADHD and not addiction than you can focus and amphetamines could like spiral your life out of control.
Okay, maybe this is a stupid question too. Can you be addicted to ADHD meds and when you have ADHD?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
what does that look
you
like?
can also be addicted to painkillers when you have real pain.
Yeah, but that keeps going. Like amphetamines, like treat the. I don't know. Like you don't want to keep taking them. It just helps you like feel in control.
Euphoria.
I mean, maybe I just talked to the wrong ADHD.
But they induce euphoria with people who
They do affect people with ADHD differently.
Right.
That is
yes.
True.
Sure. Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so
awakening of the executive functioning, right?
at low doses, and then with higher doses or stronger amphetamines.
Right.
Sure, stronger amphetamines are different than like maybe
then it's
whatever.
Gonna be, we've had
Yeah.
folks with ADHD who've been, addicted to methamphetamines, cocaine.
Oftentimes
those
that's what
other
starts
things,
it, right?
fine.
Is they'll get exposed to this at an early age, and then that's fine if they stay within their dosage, they'll be fine, right? But then the day comes where they abuse it one day, they take too many, and they're like, oh shit, that felt great, and that's where that addictive potential could be realized.
I just haven't been exposed to that yet with all my friends with ADHD. They just like to feel normal.
You need to find a new social group.
I know.
You got boring ass
hang out with a bunch of squares.
Apparently. I know.
No, and I would
In fact,
agree
they
with
don't
you.
want to take their ADHD meds because they feel boring.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't. In my
I just
experience,
want to throw that out there because I know
no,
some
I'm glad
people
you're saying
have
it.
like.
So here's my lived experience. I don't often see somebody who is diagnosed with ADHD and has been taking the meds for years suddenly become addicted to it.
Okay.
I don't usually see that.
Yeah.
What I see on the other hand is somebody I've been treating for addiction. They've been sober for a little while. They're like, hey, I've been looking shit up on Reddit. I noticed that I'm tired and unfocused. I think I might have ADHD. I'm going to go get amphetamines. And I'm like, the fuck you are. And they're like, no, it's really important that I be focused. And I'm like, no, it's
Wrong.
really important that you don't fucking have narcotics. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but no. And this is the biggest fight I've ever gotten into with a psychiatrist, was me and a psychiatrist arguing because they were like, their ADHD must be treated. I'm like, sir, this is a detox and inpatient facility. And if you give this person
Yeah, they're
amphetamines,
gonna
we
test
cannot
positive.
fucking
Yeah.
treat them anymore.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
don't you think we should save their life? They were overdosed 7 hours ago. Like, what the fuck? So
Shut the fuck up.
yeah, Dr. Smith, whoever he is. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are wrapping up the show. You are listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Malia, Richard Macy, A Sunny Boy, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Slurpee Guy, Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Elena, Gabrielle Adame, Adam Warren, B. Gay Do Crimes, and Not Keira Knightley. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
As we wrap up the show, I want to remind you, go to patreon.com/therapy, and typically you can get our extended show, but today you won't. And you can get it ad-free a day earlier. That's still true. You also get access to our Discord community and our 9-year library of deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants, as well as all the other sporadic content that we tend to sprinkle up at Patreon. If you have joined our Patreon since the day of this recording, June 8th, we are going to thank you by name when we get to our next episode. Later. But these have been pre-recorded so that we can do some summer travels. Different hosts have different things going on at different times. The only way we get all 4 of us together is the here and the now, and we did the damn thing. But we do want to thank our benevolent... I like the hip-hop hype shout-out. That was great.
Y'all don't know me at all. This is normal with me. Just getting comfortable.
We'd like to thank the benevolent, revered,
I listened to Missy
generous,
Elliott on the way over today.
flagrantly pro-therapy diehard who loves you all so much they give till it hurts, our TheraPartner, Pickett. And we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, the TheraProducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Richard fucking Macy, Judy Schneider, Malia, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Dan Martin, Sammy Scoop, Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker, Ben Stanley slapping your face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Oscar Swanrose, Paris, A Sunny Boy, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Sandra McWaffle, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop, Heyo, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma, Tonka, and Pony Soprano, Alina, Brady Malachik, Chick Fellatio, Gabriel Adame, Sean Sutherland, Maxa Ginger Scoop, Chad Mag, Adam Warren, Inkala Prince, Sam Cohn, B. Gay, Do Crimes, Ellie O'Dare, Not Keira Knightley, Amy Aardvark, Edgar Allan Ho, and Dale the King.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, pork chop, chicken
Wasn't
farmer.
I closed it.
Oh, no. That.
I'm pretty sure it was Pork Chop Chicken Farmer.
Got it.
Pork chop chicken finger.
There it is. And thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember,
this.
Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. It's /PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? You can ask anonymously at podtherapy.net, email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com, or click the link in the episode description to be taken to our anonymous Google form. I'm Nick.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Remember we had somebody called Itty Bitty Chicken Farmer or something like that? Mm-hmm. That wasn't the name of the studio, right?
It was not.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.